Squats, they build mass and strength in the legs, especially the thighs. Primarily, they develop all 4 heads of the quadriceps. And what you're going to do with a barbell on a rack, you're just going to step under it and rest the bar across the back of your shoulders, then raise it up off the rack and step away. Now, your foot position determines which area of the thigh you work the most. And because we're training for overall development, you're going to want a shoulder width stance and your toes pointing slightly out, okay? I'm just going to pop this back on the rack for a bit, just to explain a few more things. Okay, now ideally you want to be squatting with your back as straight as possible so that you keep your lower back out of the movement and keep the stress on the thighs and your glutes where it needs to be. But your technique could vary depending on your physical proportions. So if you've got long legs, you might find that you're forced to lean forward, which in which case is going to inevitably bring your lower back into the movement. And we might just need to include some front squats in your program to ensure your quads are getting emphasised if that's the case with yourself. But ideally you'll squat with your back as straight as possible and the bar will be in line with your rear end as you squat down. Okay, then you're going to bend your knees and squat down until your legs are just below parallel to the floor. And the reason that I want you to go until your thighs are just below parallel to the floor is so that you develop strength across the entire range of motion. Because if you don't go low enough in the beginning, you could injure yourself later on when we start adding heavier weight because you haven't developed the strength across the entire range of motion. And of course we will be going heavier later on with yourself because we're building up to do heavy squats. So it's really important for yourself that you do make sure that you know that you squat until your thighs are just below parallel to the floor. And then you're just going to pause for a moment and push yourself back up to the starting position. So I'm just going to demonstrate that for you so you know what that's supposed to look like, okay? So like I said, shoulder width stance, toes pointing slightly outward, okay? Then you're just going to, keeping your back as straight as possible, so keeping your head up and your back as straight as possible, just lower yourself until your thighs are just below parallel, pause for a moment, and then straight back up to the starting position, okay? So it should look like this.